It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Texas head coach D'Amico Ryans has one question for the media. You good?
Big Sarge.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? You're tuned to the Texans Happy Hour. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports, the Z at the end. Follow me on the tick and the talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you are subscribed to the Texans Tailgate Talk YouTube channel, all one word, Texans Tailgate Talk. Follow me at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Because, you know, we do everything for the gram. What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? Feels good to be back. Thank you all for welcoming me back. No, I don't have a drink. It's just strictly just orange juice. Let me turn this around because wait a minute. Hold on now. Let me do it like this because they are not sponsoring me. So unless they want me to, because I can be like Minute Maid. The juice of champions. What's going on, y'all? I have a special guest. You know what? Let me take that back, y'all. Let me take y'all back. Because that's, that's the BS people do when they be like, oh, man, I got a special guest in the building. Hell no, man. We got family in the building today, man. We got family in the building. Look. Y'all know him as, but I know him as the Sixth Temptation. And it's almost your time. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. In my mind, that's my part. B, that's my part. That is, well, I love that part. In my mind.
Hey man, I appreciate it. But hey, a family indeed, dog. I appreciate that for that introduction, man. It don't feel like a guest. It feel like home. Get to put my feet up a little bit, and we're gonna talk like family too today. Sarge, I'm glad you introduced me that way, cause man, dare I say, like obviously you were there for everything that's taking place over the last few days with the Texans.
I wasn't there on Monday.
Okay.
Fred VanVleet spoke for the first time since his surgery. So I was over at the the Houston Rockets practice facility. So
I
said, look at what now. See, this is what happened when you know what I'm saying? When I ain't there, now all this gotta go down like this. Come on now.
Hey, well, I'm interested to get into it with you because I thought it was bizarre and weird from a number of different ways, but we got to talk about this, me and you, Sarge, because I feel like you unintentionally are the genesis of this whole thing, and I'm pretty sure you know why. Because a lot of it comes off the heels on an answer that he gave to you. I think is what prompted everybody else to start asking more questions about this, which I don't necessarily understand why they felt they could do that. We can get into it. But that's why I'm very excited to talk to you today or tonight about this, because I feel like even though neither one of us was there on Monday when this kind of went left and got weird, I do feel like the genesis of it is something that you were talking about, but not in this way. You know what I mean? Like something that you asked about and that he answered now ended up turning into something a little bit different with other people.
Facts. Exactly, B. And that's what we're going to get into that a little bit later on, because I actually have the video queued up, and we're going to, like I said, when we get to that portion of the show, we definitely will talk about it. I will, and let me do this. And let me say this, y'all. Let me do this thing the right way. For those of you all who are new here, let me introduce him the right way. This is Brandon K. Scott, host of the B Block Podcast, sports radio personality for Sports Radio 610. He also does some guest appearances on Locked On Rockets, and he does. What's the other show that you all do with Will and Brad?
Rockets Collective. That's a new one. We just literally just started that one. But yeah, Rockets Collective, somewhere around midweek. Yep.
And if you don't know Brandon K. Scott, I don't know where you've been. I mean, he's done multiple television appearances, talking about anything from the Houston Texans to the Houston Rockets to the Houston Astros. This young man right here is a really, really good friend of mine. I'm glad that I get an opportunity and a chance to talk to him at least once a week. And I don't think that a lot of people know that, B, and I won't bring our off the air conversations on here tonight, but a lot of people don't realize that, you and I, we talk, on a consistent basis at least once a week. And once again, for those of you all who are new here, one thing that Brandon and I share in common is something that we're both not happy about, because it continuously, we continuously have to deal with it mentally. We continuously have to grieve. Brandon and I are widowers. I lost my first wife in 2017, and your lovely bride passed away when, B?
2023, August 2023.
August of 2023. And so a lot of the times when we get an opportunity to talk, when we get an opportunity to speak, we're just basically checking on each other, and we hold each other accountable to that at least 1 week conversation. And so that's why I started off the show by saying this isn't just, a media member. This isn't just, somebody you hear on the radio or somebody you see on television. Like, this is family to me. And I treat him as such, and I protect him as such. I mean, if he called me, and it don't matter what time. Now, let me tell you something, though, B. The only way I'm gonna know if you call me like after like 9:30, maybe. If you call me after 10:30, you might have to call on multiple times, because let me tell you something. I sleep with gospel music on, right? And the only time I know that that something is going on with my phone is if the music stops. So if you call and I'll answer, keep calling, because I'm going to realize, wait a minute, why the music keep stopping? And then I'm going to realize, because, I'm up at very, 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 very early. So, I will extend that invitation to you that you can call me anytime. I ain't going to say I'm going to answer all the time.
Hey, look, and likewise, but I'll say this, if I do call you that late, something is really wrong, Sarge. I really need you, bro. I was, hey, because I'm gonna be asleep myself or somewhere else, like not in I want to call you kind of mode. Like I would either be asleep or kind of just in my own mood, if you will. So if I'm calling somebody, something terrible has happened. Please answer. Something terrible has happened for sure, man. But I appreciate you saying that, man. And yes, and you're right, man. Those conversations are important to have every week, kind of like just because I think it's easy sometimes, especially for men, to try to run away or like from their problems or whatever, trying not to talk about things. And you and I are both willing to kind of confront things head on and to talk with each other and be each other's support system. So that's an important thing, man. Aside from all of this, that's important to us, what we do, But aside from this, we are obviously people first.
Speaking of what we do, Brandon, our jobs is to make sure that we cover this Houston Texans team, to the best of our abilities. Try to give our unbiased opinions. Try to make sure that we're giving, the supporters of the B Block podcast and what you do over at 610, and the supporters of the Texans Tailgate Talk and the Texans Happy Hour. We try to make sure that we give them the best analysis, unbiased opinions, and then just sometimes some downright just good old black barbershop talk. So with that being said, B, the Houston Texans defeated the San Francisco 49ers by a score of 25-16 this past Sunday, and I'm going to be honest with you. I think that was the best game that I've seen them play since last year in the wild card against the Los Angeles Chargers. I feel like that was the first time. That is the first time in in 7 games I've seen a complete game on both sides of the ball. The Texans offense, and I think that I tweeted this out on Sunday. I mean, for them to control, for the offense to control the time of possession, and have 41 minutes of offensive time, and only putting the defense on the field for 18 minutes. That's the type of things that a lot of people don't realize that is going to help the defense, not only in that game, but you're giving them an opportunity to give their bodies rest, and they don't have to go out there and crash into each and everybody. I'm sorry, run into a brick wall over and over and over again at full speed, which it seems like that they do. But B, when you look at the Texans win over the 49ers and the way that offense performed, and we'll dive into details, but just your general overall view of what you saw on Sunday.
Man, I was really just impressed with the fact that they were able. You just touched on this a little bit. I was really impressed with the fact that they were able to possess the ball the way that they did. Right? Like I think that there is something to be said for the opponent and San Francisco's defense not being particularly good. They didn't have much of a pass rush, and it seemed like C.J. Stroud had more time than usual, more time than when they've played some of these teams that have elite pass rushers, where those guys come from the edge or from the inside. Obviously, with Bosa being hurt and all of just the litany of injuries at the 49ers, it seems like every other year they go through this too, by the way, the 49ers, like they always injured, always hurt. And to their credit, they kind of scrap their way to some wins and kind of sometimes play above what they should when they're injured like that. But it wasn't happening in the NRG the other day, man. It just was not happening. They did not have the horses on defense to keep up. And certainly, we were talking about this before we started, man. C.J. Stroud, when he has time, is dangerous.
Yes.
I'm talking dangerous when he has time. And I'm not talking about like all day. And he did have at times all day in this case.
Yeah.
But even when he didn't have all day, when there would be like a little pressure or they kind of get to him a little bit, like he can deliver a ball under pressure. You just got to give him enough time to operate, man, and be consistent enough to where he can rely on you, to where like you're not in his head and his feet don't get choppy because there's so much activity, or like just somebody in his lap as soon as he snapped the ball. Like you can't have that. Yeah. You don't have that, okay? Which is why I think a lot of people thought with a mediocre offensive line, like if they just tried to put together the offensive line like they did, they just wasn't terrible and the coaching was better, this could work out because CJ is that dude. So that revealed itself, something we already knew, but revealed itself again about CJ. And again, the part about them possessing the ball, like you hit on this, but this is to me where the game was won. It was noticeable, like how it felt like the Texans had the ball the whole game. The whole game.
I'm like, they still got the ball.
They still got the ball. Like these drives that they had were like 10 plays or more, right? Like it seemed like at every turn they had the ball. And like you mentioned, to have the ball 41 plus minutes to their 18. I mean, I think that's a clear and obvious winning formula. So I was glad to see it. I would be honest, man, I did not think, of course, coming off that Monday night game against Seattle, based off of how they played, I didn't have no confidence in them going into this game. I didn't feel like they gave me no reason to have confidence in them based off of that. To play like that with 15 days to prepare after a bye week, to go up there and lay an egg the way they did not give me a lot of confidence that they'd be able to, on a short week, go up against what I thought was a little bit more of a reputable San Francisco team than what ended up showing up. But yeah, I thought it was encouraging. I thought it was at least an encouraging sign.
Yeah. You know what, B? I'm going to say this. I like the way that they played. And for those of you all who will be going on this audio journey with us I'm going to tell you this show is being streamed live. And so when you hear me refer to the chat, I know you can't see the chat, but at least you're going to hear what I have to read off, because you see that the comments are coming in right now. People in the chat talking, and I'm going to something that the reason why I brought that up, because something over there just piqued my interest, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But when I was on the Texans cookout, with DJ Bueneme, Jonathan Alexander, and Chancellor Johnson, one of the things that I said that I really like the way that offense performed, but they still left a lot on the field too. And because when you're watching it, you don't want to be too greedy. You like, hey man, look, they getting points. So I think they scored on their first 3 possessions, if I'm not mistaken. 2 of those were field goals, but you look and you was like, hey man, one of those possessions should have ended up in a touchdown. But you don't want to be greedy, because you want to see them perform the way that they're performing, and you want to see them catch the type of rhythm that they need. Because you remember 1 week prior, right tackle Titus Howard told us after the game against the Seahawks, was like, hey, we came out complacent, we came out lethargic, we came out lazy, we didn't start fast, and when we don't start fast, then we don't play well. And I like that they came out, they got the ball first, they held the ball for a very long time, they played well. I just feel like there's still some more that was, some of that stuff was left out on the field, and it could have been a little bit better. But in the chat, Elijah Griffin, dang, how many names you got? How many? His Elijah Griffin Curtis 1572. Good Lord. They couldn't. Hey, why you just couldn't be E.G. Curtis? Huh? Why you just couldn't be E.G. Curtis? You gotta be Elijah Griffin.
And he's super specific. You're not gonna confuse him with nobody.
He wants you to call him by his whole name.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just messing with you though. But he said that the Texans have used the 6 offensive linemen, and I don't mind that if they move the ball. And so, the one thing that I like is that they found that, they incorporated that, and they also said, hey, we don't have to make Blake Fisher a starter, but we're going to continue to give him reps to help build his confidence back up from his performance during training camp in the preseason. Because one of the things that I came on here and harped on, and B, I'm pretty sure you said the exact same thing, was that Blake Fisher is not having a great camp. Blake Fisher is not having a great camp. He's being outplayed by rookie Ariante Ursery, and he shouldn't start over him just because he's a veteran. And so I think what they did, and I also thought that he came into, when I seen him in minicamp, he looked minicamp and OTAs, he looked light. He looked really light in OTAs, excuse me. And so when he came back, he had put on a little bit of weight, but he just wasn't playing consistently. But I like what offensive coordinator Nick Caley and what offensive line coach Cole Popovich has done by saying, hey, we don't want to completely just have you standing on the sideline watching. If we can find a way to incorporate you, get CJ Stroud some more help, get the running game going a little bit better, and be with the way that the thing that they're doing now is they're mixing and matching. Because when that 6 offensive linemen used to come in, when Blake Fish used to come in, defenses automatically thought run. But now the way that Nick Caley is mixing it up, if I'm not mistaken, and I got to go back and take a look, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that remember when CJ dropped that beautiful pass to Jalen Noel for 44 yards on the sideline?
Yes.
He dropped it in a bucket. If I'm not mistaken, I think that there was I think that Blake Fisher was in the game then, because it was only a 2-man route. It was Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. And the route that Noel ran, it was going to take time. And CJ had the time to wait and drop that thing right in the bucket. And so I just want to see more consistency. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So I love what you're pointing out here, because this is an interesting chess match. I know we're shouting out Blake Fisher and kind of his reclamation or his opportunity here to make an impact on the team after not having the greatest camp or preseason, and an up and down rookie year and all of that. But I really want to look at Kaylee here for this, like as his adjustment. They talk about fitting your scheme to your personnel and all of that, right? You hear this all the time. This is an example of that, right? When we say we want to see more adjustments and we want to see them actually fit their scheme to their personnel and not try to make their personnel fit their scheme and all of that, right? This is a great, great example of that. When, look, man, they tight end started dropping, man. The Brevin Jordan situation, we've of course covered that. We know what happened there. It's back-to-back years with Rev. Shout out to him, prayers up for him. But Brevin Jordan is gone. Kay Stover suffered a serious injury that's had him out of action. And then you look up, so but they've had to go without him for this time, right? And we'll see how things adjust from there. But I think this is like found money here, right? Where hey, we don't have tight ends.
They lost Irv Smith Jr. too for the season.
So they can't find it, so they out there with Dalton Schultz and Harrison Bryant or Dalton Schultz and whoever else they can find.
And Blake Fisher.
And so Blake Fisher, bro, how many times in the press box, like it felt like I wanted to tell the big man, tell the ref he don't have to keep telling us that Blake Fisher is reporting as eligible.
Right.
Let's just let's just everybody here in the stadium, let's operate with the understanding. Yeah, Blake Fisher is eligible. He out there as the sixth offensive lineman.
Hey,
but again,
hold on before
go ahead.
Let me ask you a really quick question, right? Because you know how we do in the barbershop. Look, let me ask you a really quick question, B. Could you see a scenario maybe in a couple of games where they go to that sixth offensive lineman with Blake Fisher eligible and they throw him a pass?
Ooh, you know what?
You know what? I'm gonna find out tomorrow. I'm gonna find out on Wednesday if he can catch.
Because that's going to be the big thing. Because they absolutely would. And him being a tackle, you would imagine he's athletic enough. He's a little bit more athletic than obviously the fattest of guys. You mentioned how he was kind of light in the tail. Yeah. So like he should be the most nimble of all of the offensive linemen for sure. But does he have hands? I don't know what kind of hands he got. You
got to look at it like this, B. A lot of the guys in the NFL didn't just play the one position they played for the entire time they've been playing football. You look at Titus. Titus has played every position on the offensive line. Plus, Titus has been a tight end. And Titus played quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so now I got to find out what other position did Blake Fisher, because he may, hey, look, I'll put it like this. I would try it just to give the element of surprise. Then he's eligible. He's in there. You better make sure you account for him.
Well, look, they are all athletes. We should keep this in mind too, right? Like we're talking about offensive linemen, but don't get it twisted. All of these guys are athletes, Blake Fisher included. So it wouldn't shock me. But I will point out to that question. I would point out again what this is doing. It is by them bringing in Blake Fisher as the extra offensive lineman, they're giving CJ Stroud fewer options to throw the ball to, but a better chance to have time to throw the ball, right? Like, so it's like he doesn't have, and we were making this point on the radio. It doesn't matter if he's got 4 or 5 dudes to throw the ball to, and he don't have any time to throw the ball. So if you give him, like you just saying, two people to throw the ball to, maybe 3 people to throw the ball to, but that extra guy is in there is Blake Fisher. Maybe he's not getting the ball, but what he is doing is making sure that CJ Stroud is upright and has the opportunity to do things that we all know he's capable of doing. That's valuable in and of itself. And I think once they master that, once they get comfortable with that, yeah, man, like that's going to be the thing that they show, the tape that they show that's not on tape. Our team does something that the other team hasn't scouted for yet because they haven't done it. Yeah, I can definitely see it. I don't think we're there yet, but I can see it down the road.
Because you look at it like this. They constantly remind us where Nick Caley came from outside of coaching with the Los Angeles Rams. You definitely will never leave out the fact that he came from the New England Patriots. You're never going to forget that. Like you're never like, yeah. So he was a tight ends coach and pass game coordinator with Los Angeles Rams, but where he got his start was with the New England Patriots and the Patriots way. So just say Tom Brady and the rest of them. But that's neither here nor there. B, we'll talk about that another time. But I could see them doing something like that because of where he did come from. That's the type of stuff that Bill Belichick will hold on to until it's time to play like the Ravens. And then he'll pull it out and make Harbaugh get so pissed off that thinking that he's cheating. It's like, no, bro, it's in the rule book, bro. You heard him say that he was eligible. Like, just because I haven't thrown it to him don't mean I can't throw it to him. So, that's just, like I said, that's just another thing that I would like to, to throw out there. See, hey, man, as time goes on, as this offense hopefully evolves, you can look at it and you can say, just add some more wrinkles. Because I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I think that I'd rather see a pass thrown to Blake Fisher than see the wide receiver screen multiple times. B, I hope they never bring the wide receiver screen back. Unless, wait a minute. Hold on. I would love to see it run with Jalen Noel.
Well, tell me who's blocking. Like I don't mind a wide receiver screen to Jalen Noel with Blake Fisher out there. but also, who else got to be out there if they running wide receiver screens? You know who else I need to be out there, man? I need Bridget Brooks out there. I need Bridget Brooks out there ready to lay somebody on their ass, man. That's excuse my language out here, but that's what I need. That's what I need. Hey, look, and I know the if y'all know what play I'm talking about, it was this wasn't a screen, but look, wherever there's some static or somebody got to like try to make something happen in a phone booth.
Yeah.
Or this feel like it's going to be a bar fight, whatever this play is. I need Bridget Brooks next to me, man. That's what I need in front of me. So yeah, if they can figure out a way how to get, and Noel is both fast and strong. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
So if you get the ball to Noel, get that extra offensive lineman out there, get Bridget Brooks out there, ready to lay somebody out. Then yeah. But otherwise, man, I know. I watch the game with people who do not understand why teams that are not good at throwing screens throw so many of them.
Right.
It's like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing? You're not the Patriots. You're not, the Eagles or whatever it is. Like, stop trying to be something that you're not. So yeah, I can do without it unless you give me the right personnel.
And I'm glad that you brought up running backs, B, because there was a Joe Mixon sighting on Sunday, and that's a name that you never want to forget, especially when it comes to this Houston Texans team. You can't forget what he did last season as far as making a Pro Bowl, going over 1,000 yards rushing, and even though he hasn't been able to get out on the field so far this season, there's a hope and a possibility and a chance that he could come back. Wouldn't it be wild if him and Fred VanVleet made their return at the same time? I think the city of Houston would go crazy. But B, this is my dilemma. Okay, this is my dilemma. Joe Mixon hasn't played football in a very long time, and we know that the game of football, you can condition all you want on that side field. You can condition all you want on the back field or the front field, wherever you want to do your conditioning in. It's totally different when you have to get on that field and play in the game, when you have to play the actual game. And so I'm going to ask you this question. And I know you hear the train in the background. That's, I always go like this, like a little kid every time. And, I'm like,
and that's real life in these H-Town streets, man. We got train tracks all over the place, man.
For sure. But B, I'm gonna ask you this question. I'm sorry, if Joe Mixon comes back, and let's just say comes back week 11, how many reps do you give him in order to get himself back in game shape? Or do you just say, we're going to keep you in case of emergency break glass, and we're going to continue to go with this 1-2 punch of Nick Chubb and Woody Marks, because he's going to, when Joe Mixon comes back, he's going to take reps away from Woody Marks? And if he's taking the reps away, does that stunt the growth of the rookie?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked it that way because I think that would be the mistake. I think that the way you approach it with Joe Mixon, if he does come back, is to take it as slow as possible and not to disrupt what you already had. Because I'm actually, you tell me if you disagree with this, but I'm actually good with the running backs. Like neither one, Nick Chubb nor Woody Marks, right now looks like what Joe Mixon looked like the last time we saw him. I'll say that. Like Joe Mixon, if you're comparing, okay, give me Joe Mixon, but let's not act like we're gonna see that version of Joe Mixon coming back after the injury and after all of that time missed. So, like, if you're giving me last year's Joe Mixon, just gonna plop him down in the middle of the season or at the end of the season and tell me that he's gonna be that guy, then yeah, business as usual. Give him the ball and let's go. Like, not really much to talk about. But because of the sort of nuance that you laid out there of like how long it takes to get back into game shape, like almost not to get too off track, but like almost like with Christian Harris when they brought him back. It's like, okay, we're not gonna bring him back and treat him like he's Christian Harris of 2023 following around Lamar Jackson. We're gonna throw him out there, see what he can handle. If he can handle it, he can. If he can't, he can't. We got other guys that can play the position, and that's how we're gonna roll. That's how I would like to see it with Joe Mixon as well. Like, maybe you give him the Dari carries.
Yeah.
Maybe you give him the Dari reps, and Dari can just really be the special teams guy that he is. And don't go away from the Woody Marks, Nick Chubb tandem. I think that's working just fine. So unless you can sell me on Joe Mixon being 100% exactly the dude that he was before, I would lean toward the second thing that you said. Go with these two that you've been riding for the first part of the season, and then just see what Joe can give you.
Yeah, and I think the exact same thing because what you're seeing from Woody Marks, the more carries he gets, the more playing time that he gets, you can see him starting to get better. You see him starting to, to finally, it's clicking. And I'm not saying that early on it wasn't clicking for him, but he's a rookie. So there's a lot of things going on that he's not used to seeing on this level. And, all of them will tell you, what I mean by all of them, a lot of all of the rookies, right? All of the rookies that I've talked to, at least since 2017, has always told me the biggest difference in playing in college and playing in the pros is the game speed. You said that game speed increases so quickly that you're saying to yourself, hey, wait a minute, man, how is this big 300-pound guy moving this fast, right? How is this big, offensive lineman, getting out that fast? Or how is this big defensive tackle getting to me this quick when I'm coming from, they didn't move that quick in college, but now they move that quick here in the pros. And so when I say Woody Marks is starting to get it, you can slowly see him, we knew that he could run. We knew that he could catch. We're seeing him be better and better in pass protection, but not only is he becoming better in pass protection. I don't think people have picked up on these small little intricacies and nuances of him being able to start to run behind that offensive line. That offensive line isn't, great. We know that. We know that offensive line, when we spoke of inconsistencies earlier, it fluctuates up and down, up and down. But what he's learning to do is the exact same thing that Joe Mixon was doing, and that's run behind not so great offensive line. He picks that up, B, to where he can cut back and see the hole and move the way that he moves. And I know that they have a whole new blocking scheme now, but he's starting to just pick up a little bit more and a little bit more. And then with that, 50-yard pass that he caught being that outlet for, finding a spot. B, you played basketball before. What do they say? Hey, man, if you want to beat a zone, just find a spot, stay there, the ball will come to you. What did he do on that play? He leaked out a little bit. He found a spot. He was an outlet. And then once he catches it, that's what he can do. That's who Woody Marks is. That's who the next Houston Texans running back for the foreseeable future is going to be, Woody Marks. So I would not put him out there. But speaking of rookies, Hey man, Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins is making Nick Casario look better and better every day. He may not be able to draft it. He may not be able to draft good offensive linemen. He may not be able to bring in good offensive linemen in the offseason. He may have picked up a guy who needs to take a step away from football for a while and just relax at Starbucks and CJ Gardner Johnson. Like he just needs, he may just need to grab his iPad and use the Wi-Fi there and just journal a little bit. He may not be able to do that, but what he's done as far as picking up Ariante Ursery, we'll put that to the side for now. We'll table that. Woody Marks, who we just talked about. But these two former Iowa State wide receivers were given their chance on Sunday B, and they shine.
Yeah, man, I've been saying as far as Nick Casario go, the best thing that he does is draft. And that don't mean that he hit on every draft pick or that I love every draft pick per se, but by and large, and probably, it's not, I don't want to knock the guys, but like outside of offensive linemen, you kind of laid this out. They got an offensive line evaluation issue, offensive line acquisition issue, if you will. That's a little bit odd. And, today feels like this week feels like a weird time to kind of point that out, given the kind of week that they had. But like the point I'm making is I've always been good with Nick Casario for the most part and what he does on the draft. Like to me, that's his calling card. That's the defense. If you want to defend Nick Casario, he does weird things with money. They don't acquire offensive linemen great. Like they some of their free agent moves haven't always panned out. But you're never going to hit on everything as a GM. You're going to have you're not going to swing and hit every time in nothing. So like I'm okay with that. I feel like he does a decent enough job drafting. And I will say that with these rookies, this was one of my concerns going into the season. Like right as we were getting close to the season, I kind of got a sense for what the team was really going to look like. Mm-hmm. So like this like in the training camp into the preseason, and we right here ahead of the season. I was like, man, one of my concerns about this team is, man, I think they're gonna need these rookies a little bit more than I realized when they first drafted them. Like I liked them when they drafted them, but the closer we got to it, I was like, oh, you know what? Not a whole lot of wide receiving options. This Higgins and Noel thing gonna have to really be a part of what they do. The running back situation, like we still weren't sure on Joe Mixon, but we knew it wasn't good. So it's like, man, they might need this Woody Marks thing to work out because Dameon Pierce, not really, whatever it is. So like, is it just Nick Chubb and Woody Marks? And of course, Ariante Ursery had earned the left tackle job. I feel like pretty early in camp, pretty early in the offseason. So when you combine, and that's not to mention the Jalen, the rookie corner that I didn't even mention, Jalen Smith, and then Jalen Reed, the safety. I didn't even mention them, but those are guys that I think could have impact on the team and eventually will have impact on the team. So I was bullish on the rookie class, and then sure enough, Noel and Higgins have made an impact. Have made an imprint on this offense, and I think like the positive of all of that is like, hey, they're relying too much on rookies, but it's a good thing that these is the rookies that they're relying on, right? Yeah. Like I wasn't comfortable with the idea that these would be the rookies. I just didn't see it when they first drafted them that they would have to rely on them as much as they will. Not until leading up to the season, but man, they've shown up. They've shown up. That it's the reason why in that Seattle game everybody was so mad that Braxton Berrios was getting nod over Noel. They're like, man, why is he returning? Why is he on any kind of return game instead of Noel? Why would that happen? Because you're seeing it. You're seeing it, and I think that their chemistry with CJ Stroud is getting better. Their confidence grows whenever they get in the end zone. Whenever they get to kind of celebrate a little bit and flex their muscles a little bit. So I'm high on the rookies, man. And I think that, forget me just being high on them, I think they need these dudes. Like, whatever the Texans are going to be this year, it's going to have a lot to do with what those guys can provide for them. So it's good to see them have a good game.
Yeah, and listen, I'm taking nothing away from either one of those young men. I think that they are, from watching them in training camp and watching them, just the way that they play, the way that they perform, the way that they practice, the way that they want to get better, and all that's great. I'm just hoping that all that can be incorporated, just like with what CJ said on Sunday with 12. Once 12 come back, once 12 come back, you learn how to continue to use Higgins and Noel and Hutchinson. Like, learn how to do it. But I mean, once 12 get back on that field, man, I feel like that this past week against the 49ers was their opportunity to step back and say, okay, if we do these type of things and we incorporate Nico, because if I'm not mistaken, like Nico's signature route is an end breaker. And they killed the 49ers this past weekend with end breakers. And so a lot of times, though, defense wants to bracket him. And so you're going to have to find a way to free him up. I don't know how that's going to happen, but you got to find a way to free him up. And if that means using Higgins and Noel to help free him up, but also be an option in the play, that's the type of thing that I want to see be. And so, I'm hoping that this team can keep some consistency. The offensive side of the ball can keep some consistency going into the game against the Denver Broncos. And before I get to the Broncos, though, B, I got two quick questions for you. First one is, do you think that they make a move at the trade deadline?
Not a move of substance. I don't think that they make a move of substance. Now, hold on. Let me change that. Scratch that for a second. Do I think they make a move at the trade deadline? I don't think the big move at the trade deadline is bringing somebody in. I could see the big move being, and when we say big move, it's relative. Like, well, this is Texans happy hour. You do the tailgate talk, B Block Podcast, Sports Radio 610, the flagship, all of that. So, like, for a Texan-centric audience, this would be considered big. I don't think it's actually that big, but like Dameon Pierce, a team need a running back. You're not really giving Dameon Pierce no carries. I can see that. Is there a team? Look, man, it looked like EJ Speed has taken over whatever role that Christian Harris was gonna have. I don't know, but like, is somebody wanting to bet on his potential, and could the Texans sell there? Like, if I had to guess, I don't feel like it's somebody that they're bringing in. I feel like it'd be somebody that they sending out, which I do think would be disappointing for some people, considering that the team started off slow, and especially if they, let's say they pick it up, they win this game, and they back at 500. This game against the Broncos, and they're back to 500, and things are looking up. People want to say, hey, look, let's ante up. And then you're giving away players and bringing them back. Instead of bringing them back, I can see people being a little bit upset about that. I don't think I would. Yeah. But I'm just telling you, that's what, if I had to predict, that would be more along the lines of what I would see as opposed to what they bring.
I agree with that, B. Although I think that, just like what Sideline Sarah said in the chat, I mean, they definitely need to, maybe look at bringing in another, offensive lineman or two, or if they're not going to do that, just please stop with the rotating of the left guard. I mean,
bring in it, but maybe they can find a tight end, like because that would save them from having to do all of that Blake Fisher stuff.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So, but the rotating, I'm glad you mentioned. I don't know how much you want to talk about that though. But
go ahead.
Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Like, bro, when was it? I'm trying to remember what practice it was where I went up there. You were there, but so you were standing off kind of to the side, but I walked up to Mark Vandermeer and John Harris, who do the games for Sports Radio 610. They do the live broadcast. And I just kind of asked them, because, obviously they work for the team. Yeah. So I kind of asked them in jest a little bit. I was like, hey, this had to been, and when was this? This had to been after maybe the first couple of games. Whenever it was, though. I say, man, we got to be done with this guard rotation thing, right? Like, that Drew Scruggs is not going to be confused with, like, Zach Martin or nobody, but like he earned that job, right? Like we're not doing that anymore, are we? Bro, this was a month ago. Okay. This was 3 weeks or a month ago when I asked them that. And they still out there, are they still out there doing it? My heart don't understand it. It just don't. Like it don't.
Yeah. No, I get you too, B, because I think that every other offensive lineman played 41 pass blocking snaps, and Laken Tomlinson played 20, and Juice Scruggs played 21. And I'm saying to myself, see, this is my issue and my problem that I have with it. Let's go back to the Seattle game, all right? Let's go back to the Seattle game for a minute. When they had 3rd and 1, and then they had 4th and 1, and they didn't get it. You remember that? So first they tried to run it inside on the left. They tried to run on the left side. It didn't work in between the tackles. And then they tried to run the stretch play, and it didn't work. And I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, okay, we know that the Seattle Seahawks has a great front 7. We know that the Seattle Seahawks have a great front 4. My issue and my problem is who is Woody running behind though? And how many reps has he had running behind this one? Because every time you turn around, it's okay, I got to run behind Laken and get used to what he's doing one series. Then you bring a Juice in, and now I got to get used to running behind him in another series. And every week, every series, you're switching them in and out, in and out. And I'm saying, okay, so there's no consistency. And I feel like in order for an offensive unit to move, an offensive line unit to move as an offensive line unit, in order to protect CJ, in order to get the running game going, you have to have some consistency. So I said this a couple of weeks ago, and I keep harping on it again. I did not ask a question to Nick Caley about it last week because everybody else kept asking him about it. So I just sat back and, of course, I asked my question about what I asked about the offense looking like the same as Bobby Slowick did at that point in time. This was before the 49ers game. But B, when you don't have that type of consistency, then you're leaving yourself open to being, okay, this is what's going to happen. I don't know if you've seen the viral clip of the defensive lineman from the Seahawks that said they knew every time the Texans were going to run when Laken Tomlinson was in the game because he was tipping run. And I'm saying to myself, you see what I mean? You see how that happens? So, you're going to have to pick a struggle. Put Juice in there and run with Juice the whole game, or put Laken in there and run with Laken the whole game. But you can't keep doing this back and forth, especially if you plan on still trying to make this run, because CJ also needs to be able to have some consistency. And every time he look up in the huddle and it's somebody, they switching in and out, how's he ever going to get comfortable, B?
Yeah, hey, which one of y'all is it this time? He looking at the jersey like 70 or 75. Who is my left guard today or on this given occasion? No, man, I've just never heard of. I've heard of competition, right? 2 guys maybe competing for a spot, but once you 4, 5, 6, 7 games into a season, I've never heard of riding the hot hand at left guard, or you know what I'm saying? Like, is that because that's what it feels like? They just like, oh, let's see who's hot, who's the guy right now, who's hot, who's not. And I'm like, what are we doing, bro? What are we doing? Like, come on, pick a left guard, and let's be real. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect either one of these guys.
Yeah,
and I'm sure, like, just for the record, I think that the job should be Juice Scruggs. Okay, I think that's who should have the job. But it ain't like, what are we doing here? Like, neither guy. Just pick a guy, right? Because this is the knock on the offensive line, is that all of them is just a bunch of guys anyway. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but the knock on them is that they're all just a bunch of guys anyway. If they're all just a bunch of guys, why can't you just pick one? Why can't you just pick one of these guys? And again, to me, Juice, I feel like, has shown you more. Let's be real. But Laken, at least early on, was bad. Juice, and then Juice was less bad. and then he's the younger player. To me, the tie should go to the younger player.
Right.
So I don't get it. There's something clearly something we're missing. Got to be something that we don't understand, or maybe like I don't know. But it doesn't. Every time we see it, it's weird. It's curious. Seems unnecessary. And look, that how you got your best five out there, and you change it. You add an offensive lineman, so you really got six out there, and then you swap it out the guard. So like not only you're not getting your best five, you don't even know who your best six are because you throw it out six out there. It's just a weird dynamic, man. A weird thing. It does that same. You know what? That same day that I was talking about when I went up to Mark and John and asked, "Hey, are we done with this?" I actually did ask D'Amico Ryans in that press conference or whatever day that was if they had settled on their five, but it was kind of like one of them 2-part questions where I'd asked something else too before that. And the are these your five? Do you have your five offensive linemen? Was like the part 2 of the question, and he didn't answer that. And I thought even at the time I was like, man, D'Amico's a smart dude, and D'Amico listens. So like he ain't forget. He just he decided, and he's free to do this. He decided he didn't want to answer that question. Mm-hmm. But hell, now I know why. Because they still kept rotating them ever since. So the answer ended up being, the proof ended up being in the pudding, right? By what they went out there and did. No, they did not have a top five or their best.
And next time you come on here, B, we're gonna have to talk about Jake Andrews because I don't have the time nor the mental bandwidth to talk about how I feel about Jake Andrews. But that's another story for another time. Really quickly, I said pick a struggle earlier when I was talking about right guard. Talking about the rotation at left guard, and I just want to side note this. But before I side note this, once again, you tune into the Texas Happy Hour, sponsored by the Hall Family Estates. I'm your host, Big Sarge. I'm joined today by Brandon K. Scott, host of the B Block podcast and Sports Radio 610 personality. B, real quickly, because I think I seen this in the chat earlier, and I said I'm gonna table that. I'm gonna get back to that when I said about picking a struggle. Just real quickly, when just going back to the way that the Houston Texans performed this past Sunday against San Francisco 49ers. Hey, 49er fans, hold on, B. Give me a second. I gotta get myself together. This is what I normally do when I'm on the show. B, I got to drink. So hold on for a second.
Yeah, give me some water too.
Hold on for a second. Let me make sure. Let me get this time stamp so I can clip it up and piss them off.
B, I don't want to show the brand of this water either because they're not paying us.
B, let me say this. Hear me out, okay? Hear me out. Dear San Francisco 49er fans, all of you all who showed up at NRG Stadium and packed the house this past Sunday. I thought I was in Levi Stadium for a second. I was like, I remember driving my truck from my house to the stadium, so I know I'm in Houston, Texas. This is not a rental. So I do know that I am in Houston, Texas, even though you got all these San Francisco 49er fans here who went home disappointed. This is my issue and my problem. Pick a damn struggle, because you can't talk about how good your team has been playing with Mac Jones and how good you all looked coming into the game. And then after you lose to the Texans, now you got all these goddamn excuses about injuries and we don't have everybody and we didn't play our best. The Texans were playing against our JV squad. Well, hell, didn't your JV squad go 4-1 or however many games Mac Jones has won? If I'm not mistaken, B, the week prior against the Atlanta Falcons in that win, Christian McCaffrey was named NFC Offensive Player of the Week for his performance. So don't come in here and then don't come to NRG, lose, and then you got all these goddamn excuses. But before, you didn't have them coming in. You came in with the confidence. You paid that high-ass plane ticket to come from San Francisco to Houston. And I'm glad that you all went back because Texas is crowded. Houston is crowded. I'm glad you went back to California or wherever you are. I don't have anything against the people of California. All I'm telling you is Texas is packed.
Yes.
Not really, because we are a really, really big state. We can put we can't put California in Texas, but we can put a lot of other states by El Paso. I be telling people that all the time. People be like, hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Indiana. And I could put Indiana over there in El Paso and not even know that you're still in my same state. I digress, B. Pick a struggle. Stop crying. I'm so tired of seeing all these 49er fans online talking about, well, the only reason y'all won is because the only reason the Texans won is because they had injuries. Well, what about the injuries the Houston Texans have? And what about all that? Be close your ears, because you got kids. Close your ears. What about all that shit y'all was talking before you came to Houston? Okay, B. I'm ready.
Hey, look, very well said, very well put. Because it's the thing too, though. Like, and to the point about them talking that shit before they came to Houston. Talk your shit. Like, if you got a good record, despite the fact that you got all of these injuries, like that's supposed to be the reason why people were complimentary of the 49ers. The reason why they had respect to begin with. So, like, don't take the compliments and the respect of everybody else, under these circumstances. Like, everybody acknowledging, tipping the cap. Oh, Mac Jones filling in for Brock Purdy. Oh, Mac Jones looked pretty good.
Quarterback controversy.
Kyle Shanahan can make it happen with any quarterback. Oh, everybody on the defense is gone, but they still making it work. Oh, Christian McCaffrey looked like he did when he first got there. All of that. Like, okay, well, if all of that was valid, then you got to acknowledge that you just got worked. You know what I'm saying? That you just got worked, because we tipping the cap for all that other stuff. And I'm not saying we wrong for it. Like, I think they did deserve credit for some of the stuff that they did before this Texans game. But that being said, you go into it, you get worked like that. That's got to be a sobering, kind of like a reality check for them for what they really are, right? Like, because I mean, honestly, I still think that the NFC, is the AFC and the NFC are kind of different. It's just a different kind of vibe. But yeah, nah, man, I feel like they have played well enough in spite of, to not all of a sudden start using that as an excuse for when they don't play well. Now, I will say that defense was charming. I mean, it was Swiss cheese, okay? And that, like, remember you talking about earlier about how you want to see more from them offensively because they was getting field goals and they wasn't really doing enough?
Yeah.
Sarge, man, they ran, and I agree with you, by the way, because that first drive where they kicked the field goal,
yeah,
bro, they ran 16 plays. They ran 16 plays. Like, and look, to me, that's inexcusable to me. You run 16 plays and dominate the drive like that, and then come away with a field goal. Something's wrong. Y'all need to go look at it, and y'all need to talk about it. Y'all need to fix it. That ain't cool. Like 16 plays, your ass need to get in the end zone. All right. So, and I'm sure and they don't need me to tell them that. They know that. But I say all that to say, man, they was doing that against a defense that just wasn't there. They wasn't it.
I'm glad you said that, B, because the thing is this, right? Hold on. The thing is this, right? I think with Kyle Shanahan, if I could play Kyle Shanahan for a second, without the Chris Sims tattoo, but if I could play Kyle Shanahan for just a minute, and nobody told me this, I haven't heard this, I'm just, hypothetically, I'm speaking for Kyle Shanahan, right? I think what he probably thought was, well, D'Amico learned the defense from Robert Saleh, so it's still the defense we practice against. But I don't think that he took the step back, B, and said to himself, yes, it's the same scheme, but it's different talent. Same scheme. It's the same scheme, your same defensive scheme you practice against. But that's a totally different group of players you have. You don't have a Will Anderson Jr. over there. I mean, and of course, we know Nick Bosa Is Nick or Joey? Which one of them play for them?
Man, you asking? It is Nick, but this is the mistake I make every time. But it's Nick. It's Nick every time. If you got a brother and I know both of y'all names, I'm gonna call you by your brother's name. That's just how it works.
And so I'm gonna say like this, B. Even if they had Bosa in the game, even if they had Fred Warner in the game, you're still talking about a defensive unit for the Texans that has Hunter, Anderson, rotating of the defensive tackles. You got Azeez in the middle. Then you got Derek on one side, Kamari on the other side. Like you may practice against that scheme, but you never practice against these. You ain't practicing against these players. And so, sure, when you scheme it up during the week with Christian McCaffrey being able to do what he can do, then now you're saying to yourself, okay, we think it's going to work. Until Will Anderson lines up on that other side and beats the dog crap out of your tackle, and now you're trying to adjust. But as soon as you adjust to him, here comes Hunter over here, and now you want to pass, but then you can't pass because even if you go back and look, I think at one point through the second quarter, I think Mac Jones may have had like 9 yards passing. I'm not for sure. I have to go back and look. But even if you look at the way that they scored towards the end of the first half, right? That was set up because of a special teams play made by the return unit for the 49ers. If the Texas special team stopped them, then you don't have to worry about all that. So anyway, as I digress, B, I just feel like it's the same scheme, different talent. I got one more question, and you all, let me say this. I know that I put out on social media that we were going to talk about KD, but we're going to have to get back to that at a later time. We'll probably let KD get a couple more games under his belt for the Houston Rockets because there's still an elephant in the room that B and I need to address. But B, before we move on, I have to ask you the same question I asked the fellas on the cookout. If the Houston Texans do not make the playoffs, who takes the blame?
It's got to be Caserio, right? Like I think it's got to start at the top. I mean, if they don't make the playoffs, I think there's going to be a healthy share of blame that you can distribute across the board, right? I don't think if they don't make the playoffs, I don't think D'Amico Ryans is blameless. If they don't make the playoffs, I don't think Nick Caley is blameless. If they don't make the playoffs, I don't think C.J. Stroud is blameless. They don't make the playoffs, somewhere along the line, something didn't go right. I feel like with, various points of it, and especially when you look at some of those leadership positions. So it is a lot of shared blame, I would say. But it's hard not to look at the top. It's hard not to look at the top because, like, what's the difference? C.J. Stroud, I think this game was a great example of, hey, C.J. Stroud is still the guy that you remember. Whatever you want to talk about sophomore slump, where he has a bad game here or there, we've seen him have bad games. Okay. And we've also seen him have enough moments for us to be sure of what he is. I still feel pretty confident in D'Amico Ryans as an overall leader and head coach. Now, this has been a controversial year, or I would say last several months or so, in having to make tough decisions on the offensive coordinator. Valid questions about the decision to go with first-time play caller in back-to-back hiring cycles, right? Both times he's hired an offensive coordinator now. He's hired a first-timer. I think there are valid reasons to criticize that. There are things to pick apart, but D'Amico Ryans is still a good head coach. C.J. Stroud is still a good quarterback. Nick Caley, some combination of Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans are going to have to share the blame for if Nick Caley doesn't work out. And he had a good game, obviously, calling the game on Sunday. I want to acknowledge that. But if that doesn't work out, and then the offensive line thing, right? Like, whose job is it to put together an offensive line? That's Nick Caserio. If those are the things that hold them back, or it's just the fact that this team does not look talented enough to make the kind of noise that they've made and forget the kind of noise they made the past couple of years. They were trying to level up, right? They were trying to take the next step. So if they go backwards instead of forwards, I don't know how you don't start at the top with the person that put it all together and then distribute a nice bit of it to everybody else that's in a leadership position, that being D'Amico, CJ Stroud, now we're seeing McKay.
Yeah, and you know, my answer on the cookout, which will be out here soon, and I'm not gonna, you know, rehash that. I want everybody to be able to hear it fresh for the first time. But I'm just gonna say, as I elaborate over there on that show, but I'm just gonna say these two people be, and then we're gonna move on. Nick Caserio, and I say Cole Popovich. And that's something that, you know, that we're gonna have to talk about it at another time, because I know I gotta you know, get you out of here pretty soon, because you got to get up and get them kids to school.